Good morning, everybody, and warm welcome to this conference with Crunchfish in connection with the company's report for the third quarter of 2021. I will be joined here in a minute by Joachim Samuelsson, CEO of the company. And my name is Alf Riple. I work for Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance, and I will be discussing the report and the current status of the company with Joachim. You can also ask questions. There's a chat function on the bottom of your screen. You can write questions there. I will read them out and Joachim will answer. I would also like to remind you that this session is being recorded and that the recording later on can be found on Crunchfish homepage and on Västra Hamnen's channel on YouTube. So with that, a very good morning to you, Joachim.
Good morning to you, Alf. Good to speak to you again.
Yeah, likewise. Now I read through your report, and you have a lot of interesting things to say about digital cash, as always. Could you explain now? I know you and I had discussed this before, but could you explain again the logic behind your move to include online access to your offering in digital cash?
Yes. Yeah, first of all, it's still a digital cash. I think we just realized that what we're trying to solve is at the moment of a purchase, of a payment. If something is not working, then what we do with digital cash is offering a backup for a payment service. And if the solution we had before, digital cash, where we had our components distributed out in an app or in on the receiver side, everybody had to have that prepared. Then that solves for everything. The network can be offline, but also any back-end service, like if a bank is offline or say a switch is down or whatever it is, this solves for everything. It's a complete 100% guarantee that you're able to pay. But often, if we think here in Sweden, we read quite often in our newspaper that, oh, Swish is not working. It's very seldom it has anything to do with that the network is down. What typically has happened is one of the banks is down. It could be the payer bank, or it could be the receiving bank, or it could be something else. To solve for that, we don't actually need the full offline solution. We could do that. We can solve for that even if we have implemented our solution in the cloud instead. We're still trying to solve the same thing, enabling the payment services to work if something is not working. So you can't pay. Digital cash is a remedy for that. Yeah, we can do it everything in an offline mode. That's what we had. We still have that, and that solves everything. But it requires that you have installed sort of on the app side, a secure environment so you can sign off payments, and you need a verifier on the receiver side in order to do that. But we could enable the same function online. Then we don't solve for, we need then connectivity, otherwise it doesn't work. But there is a solution that could be had that solves for many of those cases when, you know, the Swedish papers are reporting that Swish is down. It's typically, it's not that you don't have connectivity, Alf. That doesn't go into the papers. But if the Nordea Bank, killing basically all Nordea people for being able to pay, both as a payer or as a payee, that goes into the paper. But we could solve for that. We can provide a cure for that by this solution. So this is quite a neat way to do it. Offline is still needed because maybe you as a user, Alf, you are often maybe skiing in the Swedish Alps and you don't have connectivity there. So there it's extremely useful. Or if you're on a train or wherever you are. So if you experience network problems, yes, you would like to have digital cash offline, but for Swish to solve many of their current problems, it's sort of the digital cash with online access that we have come up with. It's a perfect sort of solution for that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's a complement. Yeah, that's all I said. So it complements the other thing. Yeah.
And is it correct of me to assume that the main point for you to add online access now is that it would be a faster and easier way to people to get onto the service, as like it's lowering the barrier to people to start using your digital cash service?
It's not the main purpose, but it's certainly something we look forward to, because it is a simpler solution for payment services to implement. It doesn't require that we both have in the apps implemented something on the payer side and also on the acquiring side, on the receiver side, that we have all that set up before you can start using our solution. So it does help. We take down barriers, we lower barriers for people wanting to do it, and that's one reason. But it provides many other reasons as well, particularly in the area of CBDC, that I'm sure we will talk about a little bit later as well, because this is where we talk about privacy and inclusiveness and interoperability. All these things are extremely key, and this makes all these things even easier. So there are more reasons, but lowering the barriers, because I'm the first one to admit that I've been frustrated during this sort of last 6 months, that why does it take so long time for our fantastic digital cash solution to be rolled out? We have several sort of ongoing things in the market, but it's slow. And I think this is gonna speed it up, having digital cash sort of online complementing digital cash offline.
And do you foresee your offer being a kind of a freemium model where you can get, for instance, as a payee, you can accept payments in an online mode, and that would be free. But if you want to get the full functionality, like offline and interoperability, then you would have to sign up for a service and pay for it.
The payee, the receiver, I don't think we will ever charge there. I think our model is very much based on the payer side. So I think that, I don't necessarily think there will be a freemium model, because I think it has a lot of value even on the payer side, to be able to, for the payment service, to provide the opportunity to pay. Say, if you can imagine, it's quite valuable for, if we again take Swish as an example, that you were able to pay even if, say, one or two of the banks or one of the banks are down. That's valuable. And so that's the digital cash online who could just solve that. Then there would be potentially per user additional fees if you want to be able to pay offline, not as the receiver, but as the payer, as a payer.
And you have also announced that you are expanding the market for digital cash into South Asia. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, our partner for our digital cash wallet. Now we're back into offline. I want to stress that we haven't at all given up on a full offline solution, and certainly in markets where the internet connectivity is quite poor, which is the case in India. And it's the case in many countries in Southeast Asia. You need a digital cash wallet, and our partner to deliver a safe and secure environment there is Viki. Viki is a Singaporean company. They have sales offices in all of these countries, in Thailand, Indonesia, in Philippines. So they are there on the ground. So they are helping us because they have a lot of interest as well to get this solution out in the market, just like we have it. So I think we have excellent support from them, and they are really keen in going to market with this solution, and they are, and have already come home to us with more opportunities. So I'm glad that we actually took this step, and we're still active in India, but Southeast Asia, given that Vikis is very strong in the whole of Southeast Asia, is a good move that we've taken.
And speaking of Asia, I have received a number of questions from one of your investors. So I would like to go through them since it's on the same topic. And it's on the topic, the first question is on the topic of CBDC, central bank digital currency. And the first question goes, what are the key differences between Crunchfish solution and that of Giesecke and Devrient Filia that recently won the Monetary Authority of Singapore's CBDC challenge, and that seems to be implemented by several African countries? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I haven't got close enough. I saw Filia was one of the sort of 3 chosen ones from the competition that was done by the. So I don't know exactly. I can't. I'm not close enough to understand exactly what G&D has done with their Filia solution. So I can't. I'm afraid I would just be sort of guessing in a way what the main differences are. I need to study it more, but I'm aware of the Filia solution from G&D.
Okay. And the second question is, are Crunchfish involved in any of the Royal Bank of India pilots regarding CBDC?
There are no pilots yet in India. They haven't really sort of started yet. They are looking at what we understood is that they are considering CBDC, but they haven't really started anything yet in India. Not that we are aware of, but they have announced that they are interested in it.
Okay. And while we're on the topic, could you say a little bit about the status in general about digital cash in Sweden and in India?
Yeah, well, in Sweden, I think the main play is Swish. Swish is currently quite occupied with switching their backend. They've always had their backend on something called BIR, banking in real time, and they're switching that over to, I don't know exactly how it will be set up, but they have announced that they're going to use the Swedish Central Bank's TIP system, which is a backbone switch. But they're also talking, they're owned by the banks, they're talking about using also the P27 backbone switch. I don't know exactly how that will play out, but I know Swish is quite busy in that transformation. The other thing that happens in Sweden, I guess, is the Swedish e-krona project. It was an interesting presentation yesterday. I don't know if anyone followed, but it was the Swedish Central Bank talking about the status of the e-krona project. And again, I can just see that they've built something that is like an online solution, an online payment solution backed by the central bank. But all we deliver with capability for offline, capability that we believe for privacy, for interoperability, for inclusiveness, all these are features that I think the e-krona project will need. So that will complement quite nicely. Just like we complement Swish nicely with the chance to deliver 100% availability for the Swish service. So I think we are quite relevant for both Swish and the e-krona project being done in Sweden. In India, as I said, for the CBDC side, we don't know yet what will happen there. Something which we will at least apply for, there is for the central bank, there is called the RBI Harbinger Hackathon, which is you can apply for they have sort of declared 4 key problems for the next generation of digital payments in India, and we believe we are quite relevant to solving. There is one on contextual payments, and the context would be that you're offline. How do you solve for that? I think we have a good solution that we want to be part of the, their project, because if you get backed by RBI, then you don't have to go for every single bank. You're already endorsed basically for that solution. The other one is the problem of how to take away the one-time password type of flow we have a solution for that as well. So the 2 out of 4 problems we solve quite well, and we are participating for that. Apart from that, we are in discussions with and we had a sort of like a startup meeting yesterday with one of the leading payment service providers in India that is sort of going ahead with digital cash. We're going to go through a proof of concept. It's going to be a pilot, but rollout is sort of planned next year for that. So that's quite exciting. So we are moving ahead. Reason why we can't press release this yet, because again, we are under NDA and I can't say who it is, but it's one of the top ones. We are not yet at the stage where we have a sort of a commercial agreement with them, but there was a startup meeting yesterday for taking the steps here with a proof of concept. We're going to work together with our partner in India, ToneTag, who's going to provide the sort of proximity connection over ultrasound. So you pay using a smartphone, and then the payment is transferred over ultrasound to the receiver, to the merchant. But it's exciting. So there are things happening, and there are more projects as well in India. But I'm particularly pleased with the one here with really one of the top sort of payment providers of entire India.
Exciting. I want to go back to the investor questions, and the next question on our list is, since you mentioned in the report that you have entered NDA agreements, is VKey one of the NDA agreements?
Well, we certainly have an NDA with VKey, but with VKey we have come much further than that. We have also a sort of a VKey is sort of is a technical partner for us, and VKey is also a distributor, as we announced in this Q3. So VKey is not one of those that I would say, they're not, the NDAs are with more I wouldn't say end customer, but our end customers, the payment service providers. VKey is just like us. They provide technology to the payment service provider. So I would say no, VKey is not one of those I mean when I say we have NDAs, even if we have that with VKey, obviously, because we're partnering with them. But we're very open about that. We go to market together with digital cash when it's sort of using the VKey secure environment in the app.
I see. And I have a related question from a different investor, and that goes, are you able to say at what point in time the NDAs will expire?
Oh, they are, the NDAs are sort of long agreements. This is sort of the NDA we set up. You typically sign an NDA, and that is sort of secret for years. However, we as a public company, we are not allowed to sort of keep things from the market. But the problem why, or not the problem, but the reason why we're not releasing more news about it is that I need a trigger for, I can't just have that we are doing a proof of concept where they are still not sort of, even if they intend to go ahead, but I need a commercial agreement signed with them, then I probably need to release that to the market. But that an NDA won't prevent me from that. Maybe NDA will prevent me for telling who it is, maybe, but I have to basically release that. So the NDAs are not completely sort of timey, but as I said before, it's been slow with just our solution. I was frustrated 3 months ago, very frustrated. I'm much more optimistic now when we have found this digital cash online, as we talked about, as it takes away barriers. So I think we're carrying on with the digital cash offline, just like we have. The solution that we talked about yesterday is certainly for completely offline, but this will go quicker. We can re-energize many of those discussions we previously had, when we now are, we can go back to all of them and saying, well, this is sort of an addition with digital cash online as well, and we can re-engage and I think re-energize some of the discussions we've had, and hopefully seeing a quicker implementation.
And moving to the other side of the world, have you got any updates regarding the Jamaican CBDC project where e-currency is involved, and will Crunchfish provide offline payments there?
Yes, they are just like I think many of the central banks in the world, that they need to, just like you saw e-krona yesterday, and just like Jamaica, they need to develop the backbone first, and it's an online solution. And that's what they're doing. It's certainly part of the specs in Jamaica to have offline as well. And as you know, we are the partners of e-currency, who is the solution provider. But they have not prioritized that yet in their rollout. They prioritize to have the base system working as an online CBDC project, but we are there, but we can't force the timetable. We hope that we would have been there earlier, because it's certainly part of the everything we've heard is that it's certainly part of the spec, but where they are in the implementation is that they're still sort of working with the CBDC as an online system for Jamaica at the moment.
Okay, and on to the commercial aspects of digital cash. Two questions on that. Can we expect revenue from digital cash based on the Viki partnership in Q4, or what are the expectations of the closer collaboration? And second question is, when can we see any results in terms of orders and cash flow? And I guess that's more to do with digital cash in general.
Yeah, I think specifically, I don't think we will get. We are still at the process of we have to have proof of concepts with our customers that we bring to the table, and then you do pilots, and then you can roll it out. And this is not going to happen in Q4 with Viki. Viki is certainly. This expansion we've done with them was sort of announced just a few months ago, and it doesn't go that quickly. I think things will go more quickly with the new digital cash version we have as well, because that's faster to implement than the original digital cash offline. We still have both, but digital cash online is sort of a faster play to do. So that could accelerate things. But to think of things for Q4, I think is not going to happen. I think it is 2020 we're looking at for revenues from digital cash.
2022, I suppose.
Yeah, sorry, 2022. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, great. Right. On to another thing that you write in a report. You write that the digital cash with the added online access will help provide privacy in payments. How does that work?
Yeah, we really think we've done something quite interesting. If you listen to all central banks, they all talk, just like they talk about offline. Cash is offline. So you need to offer that. They know that, even if they start with online. But privacy is also ranking very high, because you can be private with cash. And they know, I think there was a study here in ECB in Europe saying, what's the most important feature? Well, privacy. So privacy is also key. People know that. But I haven't heard too much about how people are going to go about solving privacy. But we have, I think, quite a clever way, because we combine it with the way we, another feature of digital cash, or cash as well, is that I can just pay you, Alf. You don't have to be onboarded. And the idea we have is that I'll pay you, Alf, and you're not on board, even with digital cash. But you can then set up an account in order to exchange what you receive from me, so you can exchange it for sort of money. When you set up that account, you could set it up as with limited KYC, know your customer. You don't have to set it up with a full KYC. You can basically set it up one way will be to that you have a Google account, you have a donaldduck@gmail.com, and you sort of log in via that into your, you sort of register that. That's how you access your bank account. So we believe it's an opportunity to set up bank accounts with limited KYC, so your full identity is not disclosed. With those limited accounts that you have, or limited KYC accounts, you're not allowed to pay big amounts. You can pay small amounts, just like you do with cash today. And you're not allowed to receive a lot of payments there either. So, because if you were to receive many payments or a large amount of payments, the bank would require you to do the KYC properly, to set up an account where they have full KYC. We believe that the privacy aspect can be implemented as an aspect of KYC of the accounts, rather than to look at the actual payment itself, because we see payments are possible via basically unknown entities, really. And the KYC aspect of it, whether you are known or not, whether you're private or not, is actually a matter of how the account structure is set up. We think that's a really smart way, and we can still balance the privacy with similar type of rules that you have for cash payments today. You can't go to the bank with big loads of money and try to deposit that. They will ask you questions about that. This will be similar, but in a digital form. And likewise, you, not as a payer, not as sort of a payee, but it's a smart way, I think, of delivering the fact that we have an inclusive service that you don't have to onboard before. We deliver privacy because we have limited KYC at the accounts, and we can set up limits on how much you can settle or how much you can pay as well. So we are solving a lot of those problems that I believe CBDC systems needs to solve in a neat and elegant way.
I see. Thanks. I just received another question from the audience. What quarter do you estimate to be represented in a digital bank currency? I suppose it must be central bank.
We had hoped for Jamaica, but for some reason, as I said, they're building their they're building their online CBDC system first. The Central Bank of Europe has contacted us. They're interested in what we've done. We have had, in this quarter, we had dialogue with BIS, Singapore and Hong Kong. BIS is the central organization of all central banks. So we are on the radar. We have dialogues. We've already talked to the feds in the US about our solution. They are aware, but it's CBDC is a little bit of a slower process than getting into commercial payment services. So, and we have both avenues here. We can go to commercial payment services. They need us particularly for availability, to get 100% availability. That's what they want us for. But then the CBDCs, yes, they're looking for availability as well, but they're also looking for privacy. They're looking for interoperability. They're looking for inclusiveness, and we deliver that. But it's these projects are slower, but we are in dialogue, and they are interested in our solution. The latest thing that we came with just a few weeks back with this digital cash online has not been presented to any of the central banks yet, but I think they will be interested, because this brings them the privacy, the inclusiveness, the interoperability in a really nice way. So I do, and as well, that we complement them on what they do today. They do online solutions today, and we complement them there. We're not just complementing them for the offline, which they haven't dared to start with yet. They are getting there, but they see that as a next step when they got the online working. So I do think that we have opportunity with CBDC, certainly enhanced as well with this new digital cash online that we recently announced.
Right. I have received a few more questions. Let's see. When do you believe we will see the revenue first? Earlier you promised revenue in 2021.
I know. I'm disappointed. I agree. I believe that. I really did believe that. But as you have seen from our communication, it's been slower. It certainly has been. I was more worried that this is not going to scale as fast as I wanted it. But with the recent sort of change that we have added now, digital cash online as well as sort of a complement here, we are sort of bringing in a layer, because if you think of payment services, they're all online payment systems today. We came with something which was, why don't you do it completely offline? It completely is this, catch-all solution. Anything can go wrong. But it is a stretch for many payment services to trust that we can go offline as well. With the digital cash online, we are sort of bringing a layer between what they have today, which is a payment service online, and our digital cash offline. This layer, I think, is for many payment services a natural first step to take. And then if users needs to pay offline, they don't have network connectivity, they will add the offline. I'm very happy that in India, one of the leading payment service providers is going ahead with a complete offline solution anyway. So it's not that it's not happening, but the pace has been slower than I had hoped and anticipated. But we're rebounding. And what we've done in this quarter, I think has been on the product side, amazing. The financing side, amazing. And we're going to talk about Gesture in a while now. What we've done there is also amazing. So I'm very pleased about that part. What I'm not pleased about, which everybody's asking about, so when do you have the revenue? And I can understand that, but we secured financing. So we basically got a lot of strength in our company to go on basically adapting our technology to market needs, which we've been good at, and we continue to be good at.
All right, I'll keep on with the questions. There's a question about why you haven't integrated with Swish yet. They obviously could need the service. Are the owners not interested?
I think what we've heard from Swish, I think Swish is owned by the banks, and are the banks then not interested? I think they are, but Swish people are telling us that they are completely swamped in the project of changing the back end switching from BIR to, as I said before, P27 and the Riksbanken TIPS target system. So they're doing that. However, digital cash online, again, I think is a smaller step for them to think about that instead of going all the way to offline. Because offline, as everybody's used to having all the security in the cloud and they feel much more confident in that. Again, that layer of digital cash online, I think is a smaller step and that will help. But we have in our discussions with the Swish team is sort of that we will go together with them, because I think the support is certainly from them to do it, but we haven't yet made our approach to the banks. But the financial regulators of Sweden are pushing the banks that they need to have a more stable service. And as you know, Swish is quite often down. It's not Swish that are down, it's the banks that are down. But we are helping the banks how to remedy for that with our digital cash. And even for digital cash online can help that.
I see. Let's see, I have a question about financing. I think we'll collect those questions to the end. Is the partnerships of customers the bottleneck of integrations? Otherwise, you would be hiring more staff, correct? Isn't it possible? Is it the customer side that's the bottleneck to more integrations? Because otherwise, the question supposes that you would be hiring more staff if it's the bottlenecks are on your side. Isn't it possible to work with more partners if you have spare capacity in the company?
I wouldn't say we have spare. We're very few still, and we haven't really expanded. We are, as Crunchfish has always been, quite cash conservative. We don't spend more than we have to. And I don't think a bigger team would have helped more. I don't think that. I think it's simply been that we're working with really big organizations, and we are coming with something when we came with before then with digital cash offline that is a bit too swallow for them, because they're not used to they have to get used to basically that, okay, there is something happening offline as well. We're all used to online, and that has been slower than I anticipated, but I think it's more there that it takes a long time with these organizations to get all ducks in a row with their product team, the risk compliance teams, and the engineering teams. It's a lot of teams in these big organizations, and that has taken longer than I had hoped for. So I don't think we can add more people and then make that part go faster. So it's more on the slowness of our sort of customers.
But I think the point of the question is that, I mean, if you have to spend a lot of time waiting for something to happen on the customer side, do you utilize that time that you have sit waiting to go and approach more and more prospective partners?
Yes, we did that that's why one of the reasons, frustrated that it was slow in India, we just added the entire Southeast Asia. We did that. That was a reason for, before I held back, let's focus on India. We have already come so far, but as these discussions, they're still on, and we're still talking, but and some have sort of already said yes to go ahead, but we needed to broaden that funnel of opportunities, and a good way to do that is to do it together with Viki, who is sort of active, and they have people on the ground in all these countries in Southeast Asia, and that's why we did that, and that's why we announced that, and that's what we're doing.
Great. I have just one more question on digital cash before we move on. You said in your last quarterly report, in the Q2 report, that you would modify your claims in order to attain patentability for digital cash. What is the situation there? Have you submitted a new patent application, or what's the situation?
Well, we just did a new patent application. This was the one for what we call here digital cash online as well. So that has been submitted. But what I think we talked about was the very first digital cash patent application that we submitted in January 2020. That one is going through what is called an international PCT process. And we had, before November 29th, which was yesterday, we had to submit our modification based on the first phase, and we've done that, and we are still I would say quite optimistic that with the revision we have done, we have a good chance when the next step is now before the 29th of May. This sort of examiner will come back and basically in the end of phase 2 give us the report on patentability, which we will use when we go national with this sort of patent. We simply think that what we've done is should be enough to get sort of a patentability over here. But we also have other patents as well, as we have announced. We had one for interoperability for offline payments. We have one for how you can interact with cards with offline payments, how you can interact with the EMV flow. We had one, and we have so there's more digital cash payments sort of in the pipe as well. But the one that we talked about specifically was the very first one, and that's one is sort of has gone furthest in the system. And we're waiting for the next step. Will be before May 29th. We will get a report on patentability on that one. Okay. But I think I would expect that we will get sort of examination report from other digital cash patent applications before the 29th of May, which also will be important for our overall protection of digital cash IP-wise.
Great. We have to move on. We have spent a lot of time talking about digital cash, but I also want to cover gesture side, where a lot of things are happening, and also the financial situation of the company. So let's take gesture first. You have a lot of exciting news in this report. You talk about using dual cameras, which I don't think you've talked about before, infrared cameras, and also full body, which I think you have touched upon before. Can you tell us about what the possible applications and integrations could be for these?
Yeah, well, dual cam is something for AR glasses. You know, if you think you have glasses, you can have one camera at each side. Cameras are coming out that way. The manufacturers are bringing out cameras in that way. And the reason is that you are then getting, well, you get two things. You're getting extremely exact measurement of depth, sort of how, so you're getting that from the data. And you also have, this will typically be black and white cameras with very wide angle. So it means that with having two cameras, you're getting a big sort of a sphere, or where you can actually interact. So that will be useful as well. With just one camera, you have a more of a narrow sort of focus. So it is our manufacturers that bring it out, and we have actually cracked the mathematics of how to handle two parallel streams and how to do that, which is very hard to do. We've done it, and we also have our underlying XR skeleton platform, and we've been able to train for having sort of this kind of data as well, and that we've also been doing. So we have, you know, exciting discussions with big players about this new opportunity, which gives you an exact depth position, sort of in and able to simply process this very efficiently. We announced Lenovo a few months back, and Lenovo is certainly one of them that have come up with glasses with two of those sensors, black and white sensor, wide angle, that wants to use this, and we are the providers to them.
I see. And infrared, can you talk a little bit about what you're expecting?
Well, that's infrared is typically in an environment of a car. The car industry is changing rapidly. There will be regulatory requirements in order to detect, Alf, if you're driving and holding a mobile phone in your hand, just like
I would never.
I know, Alf, but someone else. But if someone does that, just like the car will react if you don't put on your seatbelt, there will be a requirement by law that the car has to warn for that. So it could also be warning for following if you may be falling asleep. You can see that on your do eye tracking and eyelids. So things like that will come. It will be by law. So there is a lot of now car manufacturers who are rushing into that. They need to sort of get that sort of attention computing in order, which they haven't sort of had before. And we are the ones who can deliver really good solutions with gestures. Cars, as you know, when you drive at night, the lighting is really poor within the car because it's dark there. And in order to be able to do tracking, you need to emit infrared light, and you are sort of using that instead as the source. Again, what we have been able to do in very short time is to take our platform, the XR skeleton platform, and we trained for data which is of this kind as well. And we've done that in no time. And that's what we are doing in this project that we also announced. It's a paid sort of project that we're doing with one player here for the particular in this area. So this it's an exciting area. And then the last one, as you said, yeah, we announced full body, but which we also did very quickly with this platform. But combining full body with gestures from the hand, skeleton of the hand, combining that together, we don't think anyone can do in the market except us. So we are doing full body and hand gestures. If you look at the front page of our Q3 report, we are sort of showing it's in a car environment, and we had sort of yellow lines, which is the full body sort of type of skeleton. But we also have red complementing that to see what you're doing with your hand. And we are able to combine those two in the same sort of processing, which is state of the art. I don't think anyone does that currently in the market. So what we've been able to do, train our processes for, or neural nets for, is I think it's just amazing. So I'm so proud of the gesture team, what they've done with the technology very, very quickly.
Right. I have a couple of questions from the audience as well. For gesture, will you look at LiDAR as well?
What lead?
It's a capital LIDAR.
We should have had Joachim Nydemark here. I'm sure he would have said yes or no, or maybe. But I am not. I would say I don't know. We have to find out. I have to ask Joachim Nydemark about that, or Daniel Millison. I don't know myself.
Okay. I think I'll skip the next question. It's about who takes the most bench press in Crunchfish. I think we can take that privately. No, but let's move on to the financing situation. You have just had your cash balances refilled earlier in the autumn. Does that mean that you are fully funded for 2022 now?
Yes, completely. Absolutely. Even in a worst case scenario, no revenue whatsoever, we still have funding for the entire 2022. I think this round was fantastic. I'm really quite happy about it, because we borrowed money. We actually didn't dilute anyone. It was me, myself, and the other main owner. We borrowed the company money in 2021. But this round, we have now got that money back. So that was the funding for 2021. 2022 is fully covered, but it's also a unit. It was a unit where they are, people have also warrants to sign up for new shares in December of 2022. And this could potentially give us, it depends a little bit on where the stock price is, but potentially it could give us another 64 million. At the end of that, that's the maximum it can give us, but it could be 64 million that we will get in December. I think if the stock price will be at 53 or higher, then we'll get another 64 million in the company. And that's funding for 2023, 24, maybe 25 as well. So it was really a successful round with very little dilution. It was only 15% dilution for both those round to now and also the one next year. So I thought it was a great sort of financing round for everybody.
And the structure of the options is that they will almost certainly close in the money, right? Because they are related to the stock price.
Yeah, we haven't set a fixed price. The price will always be 30% discount on the market price. So that means that people will either sell it or use it. There's no one will. So we will get money for it.
Exactly.
Which is sort of the guarantee for continued financing with that. So I think it was a really successful multi-year financing with very modest dilution for everybody. I myself, I always taken lead in every single round so far in the company. This time I had to say no. And the reason was simple. I couldn't do it. I have already too much loans in the bank, and I don't think I could have gone to the bank and asked for doing it again. So I'm simply sort of, I couldn't afford it. And I was extremely grateful for the other main owner, Midrock, who stepped up. I'm really happy with the Midrock. They're now called Core Spring Invest. They just changed their name, but this is where the chairman of Crunchfish is the CEO. So I think he done a fantastic job to a service to all of us, certainly to me as the main owner, but to all the shareholders. So I'm very grateful to how we acted here during the financing round.
Okay, great. And I think we'll pretty much come to the end of the questions. I just want to have a closing one, and that is, what are the main things that we could look forward to in 2022?
Yeah, I'm an optimistic guy, and I think that both sort of product areas, computer vision with gesture control, have this amazing sort of platform that we have shown that we can so quickly turn into products, and this will mean things in the market. So the gesture area looks extremely exciting. Likewise, the digital cash, which is also a smart solution, we've just expanded that as well in much more use cases with this digital cash online, which will help us a lot for 2022. So we're going into the next year here with strength from the product side. We haven't rose the market with revenue or even sort of orders yet, but technology-wise, we have strengthened ourselves a lot this quarter, which will help us a lot into 2022. Plus, we've got the financing in order, which is all that is sort of I feel very. I'm actually quite pleased. I know and I don't blame the stock market for reacting negatively that we haven't shown more revenue or sort of market news, but the fact that we have achieved a great financing for multiple years, the fact that we have improved our product so much, I think is a fantastic adaptability that we have shown that will, I think, carry us forward. We, hold on there. I'm certainly optimistic, and we're working in very exciting areas. Computer vision. Loads of big companies are Facebook, Apple, Google, all are in there. And then we're looking at digital payments. So much going on, and we are a company with only a few people actually sort of delivering quite interesting products that complements existing solution in this area. So I'm actually very pleased and proud of what we're doing, even if we haven't yet shown what this means in market revenue terms, but it's coming. It's coming.
Great. These are exciting times, and I look forward to many more of these discussions in 2022. So thanks very much for this, Joachim.
And you and Alf, we may want to make some commercial. We're gonna have you're gonna invite on the December 2nd. You may want to tell us about that, because I'm one of the presenters for your day, and I guess that's being streamed as well. So
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that's correct. We have at Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance, we have an investor conference on Thursday, 2nd of December. And Joachim is coming, of course, and we also have 11 other companies, and everybody who's on here and can sign up. You can find the information about the event and how to sign up. You can find that on Västra Hamnen's homepage. It's at VHCORP, that's VHcorp.se. You can also find us on Twitter and find the invitation that way if you like. So thank you very
probably much. At Crunch, we might go out with, just like we invited for this, we probably also put out a press release that I'll be presenting, and that will be streamed as well. But I think it's a good event to hear more about what we're up to.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to that, Joachim.
Me too, Alf. Okay.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.